But you don't lose control of inventory overnight, you lose it slowly through small misses that compound. And so cycle count accuracy is the early warning system that tells you whether your warehouse discipline is tightening or slipping. And so I want to show you how to do that here. We're going to create this heat map here that's going to have a target changing cell. So anything below this will be red. So the higher you go here, the more red you will see. And then down here, just a simple overall of by part, overall by month. And then down at the bottom here is how many months were below this target cell. So right now you can see 1, but if we bump it up, you can see now it's 11 or 61% of the total. Okay, so let's get started. So here we have a data set, something I'm sure you've seen before. If you want to work alongside me, you can download this data set. There's a link to download it, or just shoot me an email. But what you can see is just, when was the count done, location, all these different things, category, you have system type, then you have, the cost. So this is an important one. You have counted, this or what the system says you have on hand versus counted. So you can see a tolerance of 1 or a variance of 1. And then over here, these two columns here, this is I'm not going to be really using these, but you could have like a tolerance quantity. In other words, these were, the count was 1 more than what the system said. So if you have a tolerance of 1, you're okay. And that goes under or over. So say, for example, it was 2 versus 3, you're under 1, but it's still within the tolerance. And then you could say, if the variance of these two is outside of the tolerance of this, then you can, flag that or sum that number. Or on the other side of it, you could do a tolerance value. So this is just 1, but it's 1, a variance of 1 times $100, $99.21, which would be outside of this tolerance. So it's inside of this tolerance, but outside of this tolerance. So you'll just have to, you can do it the way you want. The way that I'm going to do it is just pure variance, meaning it was over 1, therefore you have a variance of 99.21, right? The difference of these two times the value. And so we just have to calculate these 4 columns. And the way we do that, the first thing we want is we want the end of the month of when it was counted. So EO month, and then you go way over here to the count timestamp. Oh, sorry, you gotta put it in 0. So 0 means you're counting this month. If you do 1, then you're counting, the next month. If you do 2, then you're counting the following month. And so you can see that here. And then the next thing we want to calculate is the system on hand value. So which is just system on hand times the quantity times the unit cost. So equals this times this here. And then for the counted value, it's just the same thing, but for what you actually counted. So this times this here. And that's what you have here. And so now we need to do the variance. And it sounds simple, but it's not hard to do, but there's one extra step that might be a little bit counterintuitive. So we want to just subtract counted minus system, what your system's saying. But what you're going to notice is there's negatives, and we don't want the negative, because if we sum this column, in other words, if we sum these two numbers, right, you're going to get negative 28. But that's wrong, because undercounting or overcounting is still an error. So you need the absolute value. In other words, we would want the sum of these two to be 60, $60.50. And the way we do that is with the absolute value function, because we want absolute error. We don't want the negatives and the positives to cancel each other out. Okay, so now I'm going to delete these, but it's essentially these 4 columns. And then now what we're going to calculate to do the formulas is we want the variance by month and by part category and divided by what it says the system on-hand value was. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get a unique list of the months. So equals unique. And then right here, you can see in the formula it says table. And so you want to make sure you have the table highlighted. But you can see right there, we have that done. So that's good. I'm going to copy this and then paste his values by pressing Control-Shift-V. And then the next thing we're going to do here is the same thing. We want to get the unique of the part category. because we're going to see the cycle count, the accuracy by part category. So equals unique, again, table, and then part category here. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to sort this like that. And you don't have to sort it. It's just whatever you're trying to analyze this, it's going to be easiest to have it, in alphabetical order. And then the final thing we want to do is we want to have this across the column like this, or sorry, across the row and not in the column. And instead of dragging everything over, you can just do the transpose function like this. So again, copy and then paste. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to sum. So we're going to have a fraction, right? Because we want a percentage. So in the numerator, in the top of the fraction is the variance column. So we're going to sum the variance for blower parts and July 31st. And then we're going to do that for all of them. And then we want on the bottom of the fraction, we want the total value of what your system says. The total inventory value of your system. So let's just do sum if s, sum if, right? And then we're going to go back to the table. And here, if you remember, we created a variance column. And then the requirements for this, again, are going to be table, and then parts category here. And for parts category or a month, you can do them in any order. The sequencing doesn't matter. It's just with sum if s, the very first argument needs to be the column that you're going to sum. And so for this one, it's going to be C2, comma, and then EO month here is going to be B3. Okay, so this is the variance dollar, and it's the absolute value of the variance, right? In other words, if it's minus 100 and plus 100, it's not going to say 0. It's not summing those. It's taking the absolute value of both. So 100, 100, and you have a $200 variance. And then the benefit of doing this formula like with tables like this is now you can just divide by the same formula. It's just the difference this time is we're not summing the variance column. We're going to sum the system on-hand value column. And you're getting 7% essentially, but we don't want 7%. We want accuracy percentage, right? This is variance. And so we want 1 minus this number. So you can just do 1 minus and then press Control Shift 5. So you're 93% accurate for blower parts and for, the month of July. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to drag this over and drag it down. But the way it's working in Excel is we need to tell Excel to do that. So in other words, you see how blower parts is highlighted here? And then as I drag it down, it changes. So we need to tell Excel, like, hey, so what this is called is relative referencing. And we don't want that. We want to lock the rows as we drag down. We don't want the row to change. As we drag it over, we do want the row to change, but we don't want the column to change. And so the way we do that is we lock the cells, meaning you add $signs. So anywhere the row, you want to lock the row, like here in cell C2, you put a $sign before the row, which is a number. And then for any of the columns, you want to put a $sign before the column, which is a letter, right? You would say column B. You wouldn't say column 2. And you would say row 2. You wouldn't say row B. So again, for here, $sign in the middle. And then for here, $sign before. And you can also cycle through if you press F4. Okay, so now you still have to copy it across. You can't drag it across, and that's just the nature of tables. You'll see, like, we want the variance $, but here you have count timestamp. So just take that, copy it, and then paste it, and then you're good to go. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want an overall for each of these. And so the overall for this is going to be the month, right? So in other words, we can copy this and paste it, but it's looking for the word overall in the part category, which we don't care about the part category for this specific calculation. So anywhere you see that, you can just delete it. You don't have to redo the whole formula. So like this will be gone here, and then this will be gone here. And then you can see that is doing that correctly. And then same here, you can just copy and paste. I mean, it's just going to bring that part down, but now we don't care about the month. We just care about the part category. So anywhere you see month, you can delete that. and then you can copy that and you can paste it over. Okay, yeah, for this one, there's an error because there's no overall, right? There's no overall up here. And so with this one, all we have to do is we can just sum the table and we can do the variance dollars here divided by the sum, the table, and the counted value. And then again, we will have to subtract 1. And also, so this is accuracy percentage. If you wanted variance percentage, I mean, to be fair, it's a personal preference, meaning if you like 5.1, here, let me just do it this way. I'll show you. Because I can, so if you like it looking like this, then that's fine. I mean, it's going to give you the same insight. It's just for some people, 7.2% is high. I'm not saying it's not high, but you might also have 92.8, and that might be like, oh, that's not that bad. But it's 7.8 or 7.2% is bad, but 92.8% is not bad, but it's telling you the same thing. So it really depends on how you like it. But the final thing we're going to do is we're going to create a heat map. And so say you have a target cell here of, let's say, 95%. And so anything over 95%, oh, here, hold on, 1 minus this. So anything over 95%, or sorry, yeah, anything under 95%, you want to be red. And anything over 95%, you don't want to be, you want it to be white, or you can have it whatever color you want. But I'm just going to highlight everything here, hold down Control, highlight this, go to Home, Conditional Formatting, highlight cells less than, and then 95%. If you were going to do it the other way, like the 7.2%, then you would just want to switch what you did. You'd want to go to Conditional Formatting, highlight cells greater than instead of less than, because in the other example, a higher number is bad, and in this example, a lower number is bad. So again, personal preference. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you is we want to have a target cell. So, for example, if you're sharing this with your team and you want them to know, like, okay, hey, you can change 95% to, 85%, whatever you want, they might not know that. So if you want to label it, say target 85%. But what's going to happen is everything is breaking. Harger. Everything is breaking because this is being stored as text. And so we each have to tell Excel, like, hey, I want to be able to type numbers in there, but I want other people to know that it's a target cell. So just type in, again, you can pick your poison. 95%, press Control-1, go to custom, and then right here, whereas 0%, and then quotations, target, :space, quotation. And then now you can see that everything is working as expected. All right, so that is all I have for this one. As always, if you have any questions, just let me know. If you need this file, there's a link in the book, or you can, there's also a link in the description. You can download it there, or you can just shoot me an email. And also, if you need some help, restructuring or reorganizing or organizing your files to where you can actually get the insights, or help getting the insights, then you can shoot me an email as well. But anyways, that's all I got for this video, and I'll see you in future lessons.